little late. The information came earlier, so it should have been filed earlier, that kind of thing. Let's see. Then she said, if there's been violations, statements of government witnesses, then information about statements government witnesses have made doesn't need to come in until after they've been a witness, which is kind of an interesting thing. So then she says, do we strike their testimony, do we recall the witness, or do we declare a mistrial? And then she said, and then we need to discuss double jeopardy, or do we need to attach double jeopardy?
That's very interesting.
That was
discussing double jeopardy.
Yeah, she brought that right out. Yeah, everybody's ears kind of perked up. She's mentioned something about a motion that Ammon made. I thought the name that she said was Wendy Collins. I'm not sure of that. And then something about her name being exposed and the other information that came out in that. And she says the name itself doesn't fall under this Brady ruling, but the information may. So there's one of the Brady rulings that maybe's been broken, or whatever you call that.
Yeah, violation.
Yeah, violation of the Brady thing. And then Ryan Payne's motion about the surveillance cameras, because, they said that the defendants made false statements to bring all these people to Bunkerville.
Ryan Wendy, though? Or not Ryan?
No, this was Ryan. Ryan, okay. Because that's one. Ryan. They're saying Ryan made false statements to bring the militia to Bunkerville.
Okay.
And so now, of course, the information has come out that there were surveillance cameras, and so he said, those weren't false statements, right?
And there were snipers also.
And there were snipers. That's come out. So they were not making any false statements. All this has come out, and I mean, the government's looking really bad in my eyes, and to a lot of people that I know of. And from watching the jury's getting it too. That things have been hidden and lied about. So, let's see. She went on and mentioned the existence of the National Park Service and FBI teams, the organizational chart. These are all things that bring in information that's different than the story the government has tried to create. And this was interesting. She said that the government is claiming that there was no action taken by the FBI, and I thought, they were there. Isn't that taking an action? They were filming. I mean, there was obvious. And the FBI investigators are sitting right there behind the prosecuting attorney. So the FBI has some involvement there. They must have taken some kind of action.
Well, they weren't shooting at him.
They weren't shooting at him. Oh, well, thank you, FBI. Yeah. So and then she mentioned these 302 reports, and I haven't looked into those. But the defense is asking for the information in those reports. The government response was that there's no documents provided on any cameras. There's, they're constantly saying there's no recorded information here, there, everywhere, whether it's video recording, audio recording, written recording. Stuff just hasn't been recorded. Well, then you find out that it has been. That's happened several times. Okay, and then this Special Agent Gavin, who's sitting in that courtroom every day behind the prosecuting attorney, FBI investigator. Apparently she just filed some kind of report, and the judge says, well, the report just came out, but the information in it should have been provided sooner, because the information that it contains is stuff that happened long before, and it should have come out. So let's see, there was 2 or 3 of those 302 reports, maybe 4, that she spoke about that contain this information that they've just been provided, the reports, but the information contained in them was something that should have come out long ago. And then she mentioned the BAU threat assessment again, which, there was no threat assessments done. That was the original story, and then we find out there were several threat assessments, and the one threat assessment pertained to before when the first roundup was ordered, and then that never took place, and so people are going, so that doesn't matter. The thing is, the second roundup, now there's been information come out that they took into account that first threat assessment. So there's information there that's also beneficial to the defense. And that's what it seems like has been happening, did happen in the first trials, and is happening again. They want to keep out anything that's beneficial to the defense, which goes over my head. I don't know how that works.
So it's not about justice.
It's not
it's
about
about
justice.
just us.
Yeah. 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 These were counterterrorism threat assessments. They were untimely in info that could be this Giglio, and what is that one? I get them confused. There's Brady, Giglio, and Jenks. One is untimely, one is, I think, exculpatory stuff. Anyway, all these court terms, I need time to think them through so that I could recall them. I just hurried and wrote these notes down and put them down. So there was a Nevada Joint Terrorism Task Force that apparently did an assessment, and there was a meeting between several people. This was in March of 2014. March 6th is the date I jotted down. Between several people who referenced the prior report that's not been found yet. There's, nobody knows what happened to this one missing report.
Did they happen to mention any names attached to those particular reports? But they did say Southern Nevada Domestic Terrorism Task Force.
Nevada Joint Terrorism Task Force. And what the government is claiming is that they weren't aware that the defense would use entrapment as a defense. So that's why they didn't give them that information. I'm like, if there was entrapment, they would want to use that, or even if they thought that. Anyway, that was kind of interesting. I don't know. Let's see, something about an email. Wondering if this task force report was included in some email. Now, again, a lot of this was veiled because it's going to be discussed in this sealed hearing, and they don't want the general public having the information. So a lot of this is just the judge. This was all from the judge, and she just kind of had to veil everything. She couldn't name names, she couldn't bring out details, and so this was all general information that we're allowed to hear, just as common folks. So that's why it's a little sketchy to me, because that the defense attorneys, the prosecution, they all knew exactly what she was referring to.
Sure.
But the rest of us just kind of have to guess on some of it. One of the things that the judge always asks that just kind of boggles my mind is, she says, how is that key to your defense? Like, she doesn't know how that could help the defendants. And I mean, it's usually stuff to me that seems very obvious. So,
and it's really none of her business. That's not her job.
Yeah, I mean, it was. My understanding of a courtroom is this side comes in and tells their story and presents all their evidence. The other side tells their story and presents all the evidence, and then the jury decides who's lying.
Yes.
And that's not what's happening. This side doesn't get to tell their story at all, and I'm doing it right because that's where we sit, behind the defendants on the right in the courtroom. So anyway, that's what she asked. Something about this Nevada Joint Terrorism Task Force and the request for the camera to be put in place. Is there surveillance cameras? And she said, how is that key to the defense? Anyway, so that was just a question she didn't actually ask that of them. That was just in her speaking that she said that was a question that she had. Now, something about a risk assessment. The defense says it speaks to the strategic plan. Let's see. Threat assessment. This just went on and on. She mentioned all these motions. Payne's motion to dismiss because of the BLM OLES threat assessment. It's useful to the cross of Stover, Agent Stover from the BLM. And so it was untimely provided. She did say that. And that's the Giglio portion. It was untimely provided. It should have been provided sooner. A map. There's a map floating around that apparently the defense has not been given yet that shows the LPOP locations. I can't remember what that stands for. Anyway, that was, I think, if it comes right down to it, I think that's the snipers, LPOP locations, because they think that that would show that the Bundy home was surrounded by those guys up on the hill, the snipers. And when was the map created? Those kind of things haven't come out. And then she went through 11, let me get my numbers here, page 7, 11, 12, 13, 14 items that she said were supposed to have been presented, given to the defense, but she doesn't know if they have been yet or not. Emails and related things ordered by the court. She ordered them delivered to the defense. that involves Dan Love. The reports from 4/11/2017 and 4/12 of phone calls that were made. And that might have been, actually I might have written the wrong date, that might have been 4/11/4/12 of 2014. I'm not sure. The names of individuals who prepared this log, this item came up about some log that was prepared and the information that's in that log that they need. And so she wants the name of the individual who prepared that. That's number 3. Number 4, reports regarding the insertion of snipers and the deployment of snipers and their involvement in Dave's arrest. Dave was the one that had his iPad out and was taking pictures. He was on the side of the road, public access, and they knocked him down and arrested him. The government, of course, says those were not actually snipers, so that's not relevant. Number 5, the names of individual